So, so I have Denise Caldwell here. If you guys don't know who she is, I'm going to let her introduce herself. But before we get started, I just want to let you know that this is a legit, successful person who has worked with Hollywood's elite. She's on Dr. Oz. She's been on the Today Show. She's always on your news channel doing style segments. And she's basically living a life of passion. Not only is that, she's a really great person, really kind, really sweet, really loving, which is not always what you find in the fashion industry. So I'm going to let Denise introduce herself, talk about how she got started in fashion, and just give us some background.
Hey, you guys, I'm so sorry I'm late. It wouldn't be fashion if there was no drama. I was shopping for one of my clients for Christmas, and it got delayed, and then instead of getting a car, I got the train, and now I'm sweating. So excuse my glow. I probably smell a little bit too, but that's okay. So yes, I work in fashion. I've been working in fashion for almost 10 years, and I basically got my start at Howard University. I was majoring in chemistry, and I thought I wanted to be a doctor, but then it turned out I didn't. So my thing was to haul butt, because my grandmother was like, well, if you're not going to be a doctor, how are you going to make money? And I was like, well, I'm going to go into PR or journalism. I'm going to use my visual and performing arts background. Long story short, I started interning, and I said, you know what? I was interning in DC for a few different PR firms, and then I took 2 fashion classes at Howard. And I basically got my first internship at Essence, which was amazing. They were only supposed to take juniors, and they took me as a newly freshman because I had changed my major, so I had to start all over again. And that was great. And then I was one of the first interns at Teen Vogue. And then I interned in Fern Malice's office, who created Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week. She had a company called 7th on 6th at the time. And they, used to have Fashion Week in Bryant Park. And I was an intern with Fern Malice and worked under some great, amazing people. Andrew Friesmeyer is the person I always give credit who discovered me. If someone ever says, who put you on? A lot of people think it's the stylist that I worked for, in previous years. It was actually Andrew Friesmeyer and Zach Eichman who put me on. And they helped me get to go to all the amazing fashion shows, Carolina Herrera, Oscar de la Renta. I was going to all the shows. And then I started an internship at Harper's Bazaar. And that is basically how my career really started. I got to work with amazing fashion editors, Jenny Capitan, who does Oprah Winfrey, the Bloomingdale's Christmas catalog, and she introduced me to the life of menswear, where I got to work with Will Smith, which was great. And then I worked with Brana Wolf, who did Versace fashion show, and Michael Kors. So I was working behind the scenes a lot. And then I worked with Melanie Ward, who does Marni and Calvin Klein. And that catapulted to the Britney Spears cover, where she was pregnant. I worked with a stylist by the name of Mary Alice Stevenson, and we always kept in touch, and it was an innate connection. And that's how I really started my career. I freelanced for a couple of years working with Fergie when she first went out her own, and a lot of other celebrities, but it was Mary who brought me back and gave me a full-time job with her, and I became her marketing studio director. So I had my own team of interns, 3 assistants I was managing. And I like to say I worked with her and not for her, because it became more of a partnership, and we worked together for, about 7 years. And in fashion, that's like a big marriage. So we worked together, and I was able to work with Mrs. Obama, Sarah Jessica Parker, Jennifer Lopez. Along that line, I started freelancing and working with Beyonce stylists, which was amazing. Every celebrity, mostly, you name it, I've seen them naked. I've worked with them. I've helped them put their shoes on. We've talked about the thing of underpinnings. Post-baby, Halle Berry, when she first had her baby, I worked with her. So it was really great for me to get that experience, work with all those amazing celebrities, and still travel the world. I went to couture in Paris. I was always going to all the fashion shows, and I worked with tons of designers during Fashion Week. It was a whirlwind, you guys. And then I just kind of decided what would be my next step. After working with someone for 7 years, you kind of grow and learn your own way of how to do things, how to not do things. And then I said, you know what, when I go out on my own, I definitely would like to pursue other options of consulting with brands. But television called, and they were like, hey, you could do TV. You're young, you're curvy, you're black, you worked in high fashion. You should definitely give this a try. There's not someone like they're out there like you. And at the time I was a little intimidated. So I said, you know what, I'm not going to do that. I'll, still style celebrities and just see where it goes. But about a year and a half ago, I decided I did want to pursue TV. So that's when the style and beauty expert component came in. And it's really been a whirlwind. I'm so blessed to have been on the Today Show, numerous of times, the Hallmark Channel, which I grew up watching during Christmas time to kick off their 12 Days of Christmas, which was fantastic. Dr. Oz has become a staple in, my catalog of appearances. And then, I do a lot of local press, which is great. And I really love helping real women get dressed. And my niche is more looking great at every size. So even though I am a curvy woman, I dress every woman, who wants to look amazing, that look good, feel good fashion, how they can look like they instantly lost 10 pounds. What's the secret to J-Lo's glow? I can help them with that and tell them that type of stuff. So that's really where my niche is, and I really love doing it. Sometimes like today I'm sweating and running around and, behind in schedule, but it's definitely all worth it. So in a nutshell, that's me.
Yes, this is why, you guys, are you not in love with Denise already? This is why I brought Denise on, because one thing, you guys know something about me. I'm not really impressed by celebrity. I'm not really impressed by that type of stuff. But when I met Denise and she gave me the rundown and even inside stories that we share as friends on everybody that she worked with and all of her experience, and she even gives me tips with my own business. And I fell in love with Denise just as a woman. And everybody needs a friend like this in their life, a friend that's connected, a friend that's very down to earth. And I brought her on because I want to help you guys explore your passion, because the industry that Denise is in, it's not very easy. And I brought her on so she could kind of share her high points and her low points. She went from like a sure thing to kind of doing your own thing with hosting, because I know you do a lot of freelancing that you essentially work for yourself. You are your own boss. And you could have stayed, comfy, working under a big name, and still getting all the opportunities, making money, doing everything that you were doing. You could have found, even if you didn't stay with who you were with, you could have found someone else. You could have chose not to step out there. So what I really want you to share with, and I know you don't have much time, but what I really want you to share is share a high point, share a low point of, deciding, hey, or even in your career, a mistake that you made, something that you learned that you think could be beneficial, and helping people understand what it truly takes to explore a passion and be able to earn a living from that, because it's not easy. Everybody hypes it up like it's so easy, and it's not easy. And I know that from looking at you and how hard you work and how hard you hustle and grind and doing your thing while looking fabulous.
Oh, thank you, baby. Well, for me, I always say stepping out on faith. I don't think when I, was working in fashion that I had made it yet. So I kind of was like, oh my gosh, this is a great opportunity. And I never really lived in the moment. It wasn't until like an ex-boyfriend was telling me like, you work for all these people, you're making them tons of money and, you're getting good experience, but, you could go out on your own. You could do this. And trust me, this was someone that didn't know anything about fashion at all. Like, he worked in finance. So of course he was all about the coin, right. But it was more so he saw how, I would stay overnight. I would get migraine headaches. I would, cry or, just really push myself to say, well, why don't they care about me this way? Or, maybe I should do this. It wasn't that I wasn't self-assured or that I didn't have the, faith in myself. I just didn't have necessarily the faith in my ability, and everyone else could see it. Everyone else was like, oh my God, you're so busy. You're doing this. This is amazing. And it wasn't until we did a shoot with Sarah Jessica Parker, and I spent probably 4 days with her. And anybody that knows me, that's one of my favorite people. And I was like, okay, I'm with Sarah Jessica. Oh my gosh, I could call her Sarah Jessica. We're hanging out, we're talking, she's a person that loves fashion, believes in it, and is a woman who is a real woman, will tell you, girl, I need a bra, and I just remember that was when I said, you know what, I need to take a breath. I'm working with someone that I've always admired, love their movies, love their talent, you know, Sex and the City obsessed. And I said, wow, Denise, you need to take a breath and like cherish this. And that was one of the moments I said, okay, this is great. And then, you know, I always had did a great job with all my photo shoots, editorial wise, whether it was a indie magazine where it was smaller and we weren't sure if we were going to get the big designer stuff straight off the runway. And I always would push myself even more to say, you know what, even though this is a small magazine, I'm going to get that Marc Jacobs sample. I'm going to get that Oscar de la Renta. I'm going to try to make a share with Vogue because Vogue always had exclusives. And I had to just say, you know, I'm going to push my relationships and see where that can get me. And then I would feel sometimes I wasn't getting the appreciation for it necessarily. And, you know, it's okay. We have this thing in fashion where you say you're a workhorse or you're a show pony. Mm-hmm. And so I was definitely a workhorse. I mean, I always would try to look amazing, look my best, you know, but I knew I was there to be a worker, to do the work. But it was just like the benefits, you know, I was getting paid. I was getting a great job email sent to me, but it just wasn't enough. And that's when I figured, you know what, you can't look for other people to give you that gratification, to give you that and say, hey, you did a good job, girl. You know, you can't look for that. And even with my friends, you know, we all were going through it because I knew so many other people that were styling and doing it. I said, you know what, take that in you, Denise, and say, you did a great job. You feel good about it. And that's the thing about being a stylist, because sometimes you have to second guess yourself all the time. And it's just like, it's a white shirt. Pick the white shirt. Why do you need 50 white shirts? Pick the best white shirt and move on. So it was kind of those situations where I learned to trust my instincts, step out on faith, and just do it. Because once you do it, you know, it's done. And then you can move on to the next thing. Because a lot of people say you're only as good as your last job. That is totally true. You're only as good as your last job. And it doesn't matter if you screwed up or if you did an amazing job. The next one, keep going, keep going, keep going. And once you build that repertoire, people will look back and say, oh my gosh, you see that amazing span. I mean, when I look back at the jobs I've done, I'm just kind of like, wow, I did that. So that's the thing, like my highs and my lows. Always now I can look back and say, oh my gosh, I was on the Today Show. Wow, I can check that off my list, but I can't wait to go back and do it better. And then, you know, impress them more. So that's the thing that I always tell people. Keep going, keep building, keep striving, because people are watching. And that's where your clients come from too.
Right. And so I want to, I just have two more questions for you, because that is one thing that attracted you to me. And I feel like I loved how decisive you were. And I always tell you this when everybody gets hanging out. I love how, like, if we're trying to go to a restaurant, Denise is like, okay, yeah, there's one over there, let's go. You know, and I remember you shared a personal story with me about a mistake that you made as a stylist and what you learned from that. And so I just want to share, you have so many qualities. And it's like, Denise is a real friend of mine. This isn't like a suck up or a kiss up, or, you know, we don't do the same thing. I don't have to suck up to her. This is like real, legit, genuine love from somebody who's worked with the world's best and greatest, but that is still down to earth, still helps people. And, you know, I wanted you to talk about, what do you think sets you apart from being able to do this? Because everybody wants to be, well, I think God bless you because you're just a wonderful person. But everybody wants to be a stylist or a top blogger or a singer or a painter or, you know, something that's creative. And I'm a creative. I'm a creative in a different way, but I do feel your spirit in that we're both creatives. And what has set you apart? If you could give the folks anything, I know you're decisive. I know that plays a role in your life. Even if you're not sure, we can't tell. You seem very self-assured about yourself. What are you think some skills and some characteristics that set you apart from others that maybe people should explore a bit?
I don't know necessarily if it sets me apart from others, but I will tell you this. I will put in the work. When there's nobody else to put in the work, I will put in the work. And I think that, you know, if any person that I've ever worked for, from being a lifeguard in St. Louis, Missouri, to, you know, working at my internships in DC when I was a college student to all the stylists that I've worked with, either that one time or over a lifespan of years, I would put in the work. There was no task that I was never not willing to do. If it was a dog pooped, I would pick up the poop. You know, I probably wouldn't want to. And I know some people would say, well, I didn't ask you to do that because I knew you wouldn't want to. We'll get an intern too. If it means that that's going to help get a great shot, if that means it's going to help the celebrity I'm working with be it more at ease about something, not talking about the poop anymore, but just in general, I'm willing to pull up my sleeves and do the work, you know. And a lot of people don't know about the work because technology now, you know, everything's so viral, but you know, there is getting on your knees and helping put a shoe on somebody. There is running because you know what, you had lint brushed that coat 3 times, but guess what? You're outside and something else got on it, but you made a mistake and left the lint brush in the trailer 3 blocks away. They're ready to shoot. You got to run back and get that lint brush. You know, I was always willing to put in the work, and I was always willing to sacrifice. You know, I've sacrificed in my personal relationships, you know, with friends, with relationships with men. You know, I am a single girl in New York City. You know, I don't have kids. I'm not married, but I know that God's going to bless me to do that. But I wanted to establish myself as a professional in the fashion industry because I didn't study that in school, you know. So I had a late start when all my other friends were working and they had got their first jobs as fashion assistants. You know, I was an intern. But God did bless me, and he put me in the path of all the right people. And they saw that I never took no for an answer. You know, that's why I give credit to Zach Eichman and Andrew Friesmeyer because, you know, when I met them, I was a hot mess. I had one heel on and one flat on trying to impress them for an interview that I wasn't even supposed to be at because they already told me the position for the internship was full. But I took no for an answer. You know, lightweight stalking. I always tell people there's a difference between being aggressive and assertive. There's a key difference. I am assertive. I'm never aggressive in my professional life. You know, there's no need to be that way. You can just be assertive, say it with a smile, approach it different ways, and just
so right about that. You know, I never even thought about that, but in becoming friends with you, you are very assertive, but never nasty, never rude, never, you know, unbecoming. And I think that can get you a long way in meeting the right people and being able
absolutely
to do.
Absolutely, especially in this day and age. I mean, you and I know because how we met was a working relationship. It's like you want to work with people that you like, you know, and I love that I work for myself now because I only work with the people I like as far as my team.
I love that you are a living, walking testimony of hard work, and you hit sacrifice. So I don't have to touch on that. I just got one more question for you. But what about that sacrifice? Do you have any regrets? Do you have any moments where you're saying, wow, I did miss out on this or miss out on that? How important is sacrifice to being able to really do what you love? Because I think it's everything. I have had to sacrifice everything just for my little thing. And I'm not even big time like you, but
you are big time. What did we say about that before I would come to this screen on you?
I just have so much respect for what you do. And you're my guest, and I just want to honor you because I just respect you as a woman, as somebody who's influential, who has worked with stars, who has worked with celebrities, but you don't let it go to your head like, you know, I've never seen you act like you're better than other people. And it's what attracts me to you. And so I want you to shine that light for other people and let them know, you know, you can be yourself. You can reach your dreams. And can you if you could leave 3 tips, 3 actionable tips, what people should do right now. They want to be a stylist. Everybody wants to be a stylist. And we know everybody's not going to become a stylist. But we know people want to be a stylist. We know people want to go into professional blogging. We know people want to be entrepreneurs, start their own business. What are 3 actionable tips that you think someone should ask themselves or do to make sure that they're on the right path?
Absolutely. I mean, the first thing is definitely seek your passion. If your passion is, you know, wanting to be a stylist or wanting to blog, you know, seek that. And it doesn't matter if you are in the Midwest. You know, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I moved to New York, but I'm from the Midwest, and I'm the only child, first generation college student. And, you know, I didn't know anybody in New York. I didn't have any family here. You know, I went and pursued my dream, but I pursued it when I was young as well, going to college. You know, I still was making the necessary steps to do so. And I always had a backup plan, you know. So I always say, have a backup plan. If your dream doesn't work out, doesn't mean you can't fulfill it. You can still be doing other things. You know, one of my girls, I just met her name's Tamara, and you know, she is Jamaican, but we laugh about her being like real Jamaican, and they always have like 5 different jobs.
Right.
You know, dabble in a little bit of everything.
Yes. Right. That's a stereotype, but I do know that Jamaicans have a lot of jobs. Like
Exactly, but dabble in a little bit of everything, and basically keep pursuing what you want to do. You know, put yourself out there. Social media is such an amazing tool these days that you can use that to your advantage, because that wasn't big when I started out in fashion. You know, in fact, it was kind of frowned upon if you were an assistant, you know, and you worked for someone else, to kind of let your social lights, you know, status shine, kind of. But now it's great. They want you to do that. But back then it was kind of frowned upon to do that. But now that's become the way of the world, and it helps build, you know, companies, and also build brands, you know, and make, you know, clients know where you are and how you're available to be reached. So that's a great thing too. You know, I'm not that tech savvy, you know, not at all. And I'm Kim's been getting me together on this, so I thank God for her. But I just want to say, you know, keep with the times. Keep doing that type of stuff as well, because, you know, I meet a lot of young kids when I do things for like Fashion Camp NYC, or I go speak at LIM College, and I go talk to all these different people, and, you know, they're young, but they don't have the hunger and the thirst. So I was going to say, while you're still searching for what you want to do or what you think, still have that hunger and that thirst. Because even though I've been doing this for 10 years, you know, and I, you know, in my early 30s, like, it's like, hey, I'm still hungry. I'm still thirsty. I still want more. And so I'm out here putting myself out here, you know, and willing to do the work. And that's really the thing, you know, staying humble as well. You know, I'm always gracious and try to say thank you as much to people. You know, I used to send a lot of thank you notes to people. I used to write them emails, and I would just do that. That personal touch also sets you apart. So, you know, reach out to somebody that you admire. You know, a lot of people email me all the time and say, hey, I saw you, or, you know, what was that dress that you were wearing? But then they'll ask me other things. I'm a mother of 3 and I'm married, but I always wanted to work in fashion. Well, get a retail job, because retail is the way to fashion, because then you get into the corporate office of the retailer. You know, everybody has a styling office within their local Macy's, their local Lord & Taylor, their local Dillard's. So then, you know, you find out how you can do that, dressing the mannequins. Like, there's so many avenues in fashion that people just aren't privy to, that you don't have to just be a stylist. You could work in a magazine. You could work on the editorial side, but still be a fashion editor as well. There's so many avenues to it that it's just like getting to know it more. I am still a fan of magazines, so I am forever, you know, looking at them, seeing what's going on, even though I'm always on the cusp of it and in the real time and in the real world. But I'm still a fan to go back and say, even though I saw that down the runway 6 months ago, I still want to look at it in the magazine. So I'm a lover of fashion. So that's my last thing. Always love what you want to do. You know what I mean? It's the passion of loving it, being excited by it, knowing that, you know what, I may not make money from it. I may make money from it. You know, at this point, I do make money from what I do, but there was years when I didn't make money from what I was doing, but I knew it was going to pay off. I knew my hard work would pay off. I knew I would be rewarded. And it didn't have to come from people. It started coming from inwards, which was even more great, because I could see what God was blessing me with as well. And I was taking note to it and saying, okay, I'm going in this direction. I'm going to trust this. This is going to happen. And it has. You know, it's not perfect, but it's definitely been a hell of a ride, and I'm enjoying it.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining me, Denise. Did y'all hear what her points are? And I have to amen corner her all the way. you know, a lot of you are looking at blogging so one-dimensional. You're looking at entrepreneurship so one-dimensional. And that is what Denise has told you about using social media, using your passion, working hard. I know y'all thought it was some magic that we was gonna spread on y'all, but it's still good old-fashioned hard work. And that's why I had to expand myself as not just a blogger. I had to use what I do as a career, incorporate that with education. I had to do events. I had to start, you know, really using all of my skills and my talents. And now I love blogging even more because I don't just have to blog. I can do different passions that make me happy and still profit from all of them. And so thank you so much for joining me, Denise. I know you have a busy schedule. You have something you doing tonight. You everywhere. You a city. You are a Sex in the City girl.
No, I'm working. It's like, it's insane. And I was so sorry I was late for you guys. I was like, oh wait, I don't know if there's questions or how that works too. So I was like, you know, hit me up if you guys have questions or just want to know something. I know this won't be the last time me and Kim will do this too. We'll probably do something fun. So
we have a girl, Denise is so busy. And let me stop front. I'm busy too. So we're trying to do a girls retreat, a girls thing. So hopefully when we get together again, we can come back and do some periscopes or some hangouts. And I won't hold you any longer. Denise, I will put your Twitter, your Instagram, everything in my links so that people who come back and watch the replay can see, you know, your story and be inspired. I mean, you guys, just be inspired. You can learn from everybody. Just be inspired to work hard. So tell them really quick where they can reach you, even though I'm going to put it in the links just in case they want to hear it from you.
Absolutely. So my Instagram and my Twitter are the same. It's DC Fashionista and the number 1. So everybody says, oh, DC like from DC. No, DC like Denise Caldwell. So
I thought it was DC too, but I'm TN and people think it's Tennessee. Like, no, it's Fashionista. Yeah, it's crazy we have that in common.
Exactly. So DC Fashionista 1, and then you can like me on Facebook. It's just Denise Caldwell. Once you put it in, you'll see my personal page, but you also see the fan page. So you can't add me as a friend anymore. You can only like my page.
Amazing. And what's the lippy before you get out of here? Because that's fab. I need that in my life.
Oh, this is I actually have it next to me. Okay, I'm a mixologist with lips. I don't know if my friend Crystal's on here, but Crystal knows I pile on like 3 things. So it's Anastasia, her new one, so it doesn't get on your teeth. I use it for TV all the time because it doesn't run on my teeth. And then this is something new, Technicolor. Can you see it? Technicolor. Okay. My friend at Shoe Dazzle gave this to me, so I like that. I mixed them together.
Fab lip. I was just looking at your lips the whole time. I was like, I need
that with sweat. It's sweat mixed in there.
I need that. Well, you be safe. Head off. I know you're doing something else after this. You see, guys, she's working. She stays working. You gotta work.
I'm on location now, which is funny. That's if you heard like the stuff coming down and the men in the background. They're like, what the hell is going on? What's this girl doing? Yeah, I just stopped in the middle of the office and like made a table right here. So it was a mess, but we made it.
You made it. Thank you much for taking the time, and I'll be talking to you. Thanks so much for joining me. Love you much, and you guys.
Thank you.
Denise up.
I love